No, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Mark. And I want to thank all of you for making the commitment to come to convention this year. We know that many of you went to great lengths, and many of you made some serious sacrifices to be here. Jason and I made a big sacrifice for me to come just 3 years ago, and I did sit in the very back row. At that time, financially, we couldn't afford for one ticket, much less two. And Jason was working 70, 80 hours a week at the gym to turn it around in a down economy. So I made the decision to come. I remember getting on the plane and thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I going to Mount Lucas Convention? Is this my path? I got to convention, sat in the back row, and I looked up and I saw a big banner that said, "All roads lead to Melaleuca," and a light bulb went off. I thought, maybe this is my path. I am a gym owner and a personal trainer, and it's a wellness company. It kind of fits. I sat in that back row filled with excitement, with emotion, with fear, but most of all with hope for our future. I was 33 weeks pregnant, so it was a good thing I was sitting in the back. And I thought maybe this is the decision or the key or the vehicle that can help our growing family. My best friend, mentor, and executive director, Courtney Copley, came running back from her senior seats. And when you're sitting in the very back row, the senior seats seem about a mile jog away. I know you all know what I'm talking about. And she said, "Are you excited? What do you think?" And I looked at her and I said, "I want a better seat." She gave me a hug and we cried a little bit. She knew what I meant. You see, a better seat for me meant a better life. A better seat meant maybe we could take some stress off of our lives and off of Jason. A better seat did mean a better life. There's 3 people in this room today that made a decision 9 months ago, and they have better seats. A better seat means single mom Noelle Morrissey and senior director 3 can stay home with her 2 beautiful little girls and afford to pay for Kate and horseback riding lessons. That $9,000 paycheck helps that, right, Noelle? A better seat means Audrey and Eric Shaw, new senior directors who came last year as directors 9 months ago, can now spend time with their son, Ryan, that took them so long to conceive. A better seat means, and you saw him yesterday, Melissa and Chris Cretin, new executive directors too, can save their house, save their marriage, and have a bright future with their children. A better seat meant a better life for Jason and I. Those 3 made a decision 9 months ago, and that's why they're in a better seat. They made a decision to change the game. When I came home from convention, I was excited and sharing all of the emotion and tips with Jason, and we had a baby 3 weeks later, so after that settled down, he came home from work, and he put a business kit on the coffee table. I'm embarrassed to say I had never read it up until that point. Sorry, Lance and Michelle. I'm coachable now. And he said, "I'm in, but we're not going to dabble." He did something else that day that really helped open my eyes to our business. See, he's the brains behind the 2 of us. I'm just the talker. He handed me this, our contact book. Real classy, right? We're a little old school. It's $2.29. He had 107 names written in this book. And he set it down and he said, "This is our $15,000 inventory." I had never thought of it that way. You see, we own a gym. 10 years ago, it cost us $120,000 to open, and we carry a $15,000 a month inventory. We have top-of-the-line equipment. We have $5,000 treadmills with great little TVs. You should come see it sometime. If we don't clear $15,000 a month we're going negative. If you don't grow your business forward, you're still getting a paycheck. What he said to me was, this is our $15,000 inventory. Let's treat it that way. I think a lot of us don't treat our contact list like we should. We don't have inventory here. I asked my mom to pick up a copy of this yesterday, and I said, how much is it? She said, oh, it's cheap. I said, oh, that's not cheap. $2.29 is our inventory. If you don't have inventory, you don't have a business. If you have one name on your contact list, you don't have a business. If we had one treadmill, we wouldn't have a business. If you have 20 names with Maluka, you don't have a business. For Jason and I, making the decision made making the commitment to work this contact list every day. Now, he had 107 names, and he said, write your names down. I'd already talked to all my friends and family members. It was his turn. He said, you're from the South. You can talk to a tree. Start talking to people. I joined a MOPS group, a stroller strides group, and I started adding names to my contact list. When Maluka says add one name every day, I think we need to commit to truly doing that. If you want to move your business quicker, a little bit faster, add 2, add 5. How do we do that? How do you add to your contact list? I'll tell you how I add to my contact list. I'm a mom of 2 little boys, 4 and 2, and we go to lots of parks. Strategically sometimes, different ones. But on Wednesdays, that's my day with the boys, and we take them to the park. I've added so many names to my contact list. Audrey Shaw and I went to the park a couple of Wednesdays ago, and we both came back with 2 names. I ran into a lady who said, our sons were playing together, and I was telling her about a boot camp class that I wanted to start. And she said, oh, I'd love to take your boot camp class. Can I give you my name and number? I said, absolutely. I'm going to call her next week when I start that boot camp class. I didn't tell her about Maluka. I needed to build that relationship with her. Audrey came away with a name that day as well. We went on 2 different sides of the park. Have fun with it. I walk and talk and meet people. You know who's brilliant at this? Executive Director 7, Yvette Zona. I talked to her the other day. I'm like, do you ever have a bad day? You're always smiling and excited. And Yvette walks into a room and smiles and lights it up and meets people. I'll tell you a funny story. Jason and I joined another gym to add names to our contact list. I know we own a gym, so I think you should all join a gym because you can meet so many people. But when we owned our gym and we would go to the rec center, he would put his headphones in and his head down, and he's not a very small man, so he can look a little intimidating. And he said, I'm going to take my headphones out and smile. He came home that day. He said, it's amazing what people will tell you when you smile and take your headphones out. He added 8 names to his contact list. He's enrolled about 3 or 4 of them. Some of them just building a relationship. We were there working out together the other day. He said, I'm going to go and stretch because that girl I've been trying to get to know is in there. Join a gym. It's a great way to add names to your contact list. Walk and talk, open your mouth, and listen. You know, I can talk to a tree and talk to anybody, but Jason is a little more shy. He had to get out of his comfort zone to open his mouth and meet people. Now he's the one I have to drag out of the grocery store because he's talking to everybody in there. Success is right outside of your comfort zone. So if you are shy, you can learn to walk and talk and meet people. I think a lot of it is about building relationships. But I want to tell you this, one of my favorite quotes from Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Think about that. I was talking to Josh Kuntz, our regional, a couple weeks ago, and I said, I'm struggling. I'm not adding names to my contact list. We had a lot of people advancing to senior, and everything seemed to be going well, but I knew I just wasn't in my groove. He said, you're not in the habit. You and Jason used to come home from the gym on your break, and that's when you would add names to your contact list and set appointments, and he was right. So excellence is not an act, but a habit. Make it a habit to add to that contact list every single day, and treat it like the inventory that it is. A big piece to building your contact list and building a successful Maluka business is investing in others. And I think that sometimes I watch our team and new business partners on our team, or a lot of different marketing executives kind of pounce on people. They go get their nails done, or they go get a massage, and they tell them everything about Mount Luca, and I got a contact, but they didn't build the relationship. I think building the relationship is key. One of my favorite authors, John Maxwell, in his book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, I read this when Jason and I made a decision. Jason and I both couldn't get our hands on enough leadership books. He says, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. I want to give you an example. About 13 weeks ago, I was in the doctor's office, and I ran into a girl that I hadn't seen in about four and a half years. She was an acquaintance. And I don't think she would have talked to me if I wouldn't have gone up to her. And I said, Jacqueline, it's so good to see you. What are you up to? It's been so long. And I remember Ty's 4.5, and so he was just little when I met her. And she said, I opened my own salon called the Rock and Razor. And I was like, that is awesome. I'd love to come and support you. And can I have your business card? And I only had about 2 or 3 minutes to talk to her before she went into the doctor's office. And so a week later, I went to the salon. I booked an appointment with her to have my hair blow dried. I didn't want to get it cut because I didn't know how she was going to do. But I wanted to go support her, and I bought a pair of sunglasses. And I just started asking her questions. And it's amazing when you ask somebody about themselves, especially when they're struggling, how much they'll tell you. She told me that her husband was in solar energy and lost his job and now is working for Terminex. She also told me he is an MMA fighter. I thought, oh, we've got to get our husbands together. I didn't talk to her about Mount Luca. I listened to her, and I supported her and wrote her a note the next day congratulating her on her new business. A week later, I called and invited her for dinner. I said, I think your husband and my husband will have a lot in common. I'd love for you to come over. It was strategic, but I wanted to build the relationship with her. So they came over and we had dinner, and they asked us what we did. We didn't present to them that night, but they kept pushing us. And Max said, what do you mean you don't have to get up early in the morning, Jason? I got to get home and get to work. And Jason said, why don't you guys come over next week and we'll show you what we do. They enrolled with a value pack, and they'll be our new directors this month. I think building relationships is finding out how you can help them. And like Eddie said, get to know their why. Eddie is a master at that, getting to know their why. And what you said, yes,